Well, but we're going to get into game number one here. It is Christopher Baez, the two-time defending versus games champion here versus Jonathan Martin. Round one, it is King Gambit and Sneasler versus Annihilate and Mousehold for Christopher.
And Christopher's going right away with the beat-up strategy, but we do have fake-out pressure into the Mousehold here, so, you know, we have to be very careful with that. There's also a possibility that the Mousehold could be Terra Dark to avoid that fake-out and try and set up in front of this really quickly.
It is possible here, as the Mousehold does have the ability to go for that beat up into the Annihilate here and start powering up that Rage Fist to make it even more powerful into that Sneasler, but also the Drain Punch into the King Gambit. Jonathan has a very interesting situation here because that Annihilate, that Drain Punch is 4 times super effective into King Gambit.
Yep. So we've got our moves locked in. We're waiting on, we got a Terra already on one side of the field.
Will be a terrestrialization on Jonathan Martin into that King Gambit, turning it into a pure fire type and turning off that 4 times weakness to the Drain Punch here. But it remains to be seen what goes on with this, as Mousehold opting for Protect here, not going for that Terra Ghost to avoid a fake out. But the Sneasler does go for that fake out, and it will be going into Mousehold. It protects. A good turn for Christopher Baez here, as a bulk up coming out on that Annihilate, really powering up the Annihilate. But it's also important to note that Kowtow Cleave could be the move choice, but it's actually
Swords Dance.
Ooh, Swords Dance, powering up this King Gambit to +2 attack right on the first turn.
So Sora was very mindful that the Annihilate might go for a bulk up, and he set up himself while keeping himself safe.
He definitely did. Here comes the Sucker Punch into the Mousehold, bringing it down almost to its focus sash here. But the Dire Claw, it's a double up into the Mousehold, and the Mousehold is down.
And there's no more beat up here, so this Annihilate is going to be on the field by himself. He's better bulk up again, always. Going for the Rage Fist, though, into the King Gambit. This is not going to do that much damage, though.
It is not going to do much damage at all there because it was only base 50 power, even with the boost to its physical attack by 1 stage due to the bulk up here, and bringing out that Blood Moon Ursaluna now.
Okay, that Blood Moon Ursaluna is in a bad position, but it does have its Terra available because Sneasler is a lot faster. Close combat can easily just drop it very quickly, but we'll see what happens. We're looking to see maybe if the Annihilate can get another bulk up because it's going to need to pump out a little extra damage if it's going to have any chance in the rest of this battle.
It most likely will need to get another bulk up because by going with the bulk up strategy, you will increase your physical attack power and your defensive capabilities on the physical side. But again, without King Gambit being weak to Drain Punch, it doesn't really matter taking the Drain Punch damage here. And Sneasler with a poison type resists that Drain Punch.
Correct. And now it has, as we got another Terra here, it looks like it's going to be the Ursaluna Blood Moon. We're hoping for that. And it is. We got the Terra Water Ursaluna Blood Moon coming out. This is going to keep it safe from those fighting type moves from the Sneasler. So let's see if Sora made the adjustment and made the prediction that this might happen.
And it's going to be a Protect into the King Gambit here. Let's see what happened. Where did this Annihilate target? Oh, no, it's a Coaching. Now, that's a very interesting situation there, Adrian, because Coaching goes through your ally's Protect and gives you a +1 to your attack and defense. So this King Gambit is now at +3 on its attack.
And I love how Sora's playing this so far. He's playing a little direct, but a little passive at the same time. It feels like he knows what Christopher's going to do the first couple of turns, and he's taking advantage of those turns.
He is definitely taking advantage of these turns right now, and Christopher is trying to figure out the best course of action to try to claw back into this game, switching out Annihilate here instead of the Blood Moon Ursula, and it's the Incineroar.
Oh
no. The Incineroar coming out here. It's going to activate that Intimidate, so King Gambit will go to -2 attack, or +2 attack, and with Defiant +4.
Yeah, now we have a +4 King Gambit with Sucker Punch, and here it comes, and the Ursaluna just lives.
It did live the Sucker Punch, but it won't live this double up. The close combat coming out. Ursaluna is down, and Jonathan is up 4-2 in this battle.
This looks like a little bit insurmountable here coming up. This King Gambit is set up for everything here. We do have the possible fake out turn here for the Incineroar, but King Gambit can just protect through that, and it looks like it's set up for just a sweepage here.
And seeing that, we might see a forfeit here on this game one here because Christopher is in a very disadvantageous position here, and that is going to be game number one. What a game by Jonathan right there, Adrian.
Jonathan was fantastic. did everything he needed to do. He played nice and calmly, but he knew everything Christopher was coming at him with. He what to prepare for, set up that King Gambit. He got out of that weakness early, and he got the mouse hold off the field so that the Annihilate couldn't get going.
And that's also something to note about with that mouse hold. It was still slower than the Sneasler. Now, Sneasler does have a base 130 speed. If I'm correct, it's either 130 or it's 120.
Yeah, I believe it's 120.
Okay, it's 120 is the base speed. Mousehold, it's a fast Pokemon, but it's still not faster than that Sneasler. And with the Sucker Punch and the Dire Claw into the Mousehold, it was able to go and get knocked out, preventing that Annihilate from really getting set up with that Rage Fist. But what's also important to note is that Mousehold could have gone for something like a Follow Me on that Sucker Punch play, but it could have gone Follow Me trying to predict a Kowtow cleave into the King Gambit.
Yeah, the one thing that does tell us more or less is we could kind of assume that the Sneasler is Jolly, because mouse holds in this situation are usually max speed and mouse holds base 111. So if it was Adamant, the mouse hold would go first.
That's a good point. I didn't even consider the fact that Adamant versus Jolly, Adrian. So now it comes down to what will Christopher be able to do here to potentially force a game 3 against a player like Jonathan.
I don't think the mouse ape lead was a bad idea, but I think if he's going to go for it, he needs to set it up right away. He needs to predict that Sora is going to be passive turn 1 and try and set it up immediately. Or if he doesn't feel comfortable with the lead, maybe change it up, see what he can do to maybe force the King Gambit off the field, because if that King Gambit gets set up again, it could be curtains.
It very well could be curtains, because we saw how that King Gambit was, and it very much enjoyed getting intimidated by the Incineroar.
Yes, it did.
Because even with the Incineroar being, with the Intimidate, getting it to +2 attack, Defiance said, I'm going to take that +2 and I'm going to multiply it, so we're at +4.
And yeah, with the +1 defense, there was nothing other than the Blood Moon that could take it out. But because the Blood Moon is so slow, it was an easy double up, easy knockout.
It was also important to note, though, +4 King Gambit, it did not knock out the Ursaluna in one hit with Sucker Punch.
Which is pretty wild, because that's a very, very strong attack from King Gambit.
It is, but we're going to get into game number 2 here, and it will be Jonathan switching it up, actually. He is leading Sneasler and Alolan Ninetales versus this Mouse Hold and Annihilate. So here's a really interesting situation here, Adrian. Jonathan really likes using Alolan Ninetales, and it does have that Moon Blast with the Life Orb. That is going to do big damage into the Annihilate without a Terastallization here.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that could happen on this. He could be very aggressive with the Sneasler Ninetales, go for a fake out into the mouse hold and just press Blizzard, but no, Sora's going to switch out the Ninetales. Feels like it's not in the right position right now. He's going to bring out King Gambit.
King Gambit coming out once again for Jonathan here. Annihilate actually switching out on Christopher's side. Very interesting here.
Goldango, okay.
Okay, here's a little bit of a change up. Goldango making a play out here as Mousehold goes for that protect, trying to call the fake out once again. But no, it's a coaching.
Oh, boy.
The coaching has come out on turn 1, and Jonathan once again is setting up this King Gambit early in this battle.
And Jonathan with another fantastic first turn, setting up King Gambit. He's got King Gambit in a perfect position here. Both of these mons do not want to deal with King Gambit whatsoever.
They definitely do not want to deal with King Gambit, especially a King Gambit at +1 attack. If it potentially got to +2 or even +3 with that Swords Dance, it's in a much better position as well.
Well, now Christopher really needs to get this Goldango set up and quickly if he wants any chance to win the game. He does have the mouse hold. The mouse hold can follow me to stop that Sucker Punch. Yeah, it probably would go down to a double up, but he would be able to get his Goldango set up and maybe put himself in a position to try and bring this back.
And it's also important to note that Mousehold with the Friend Guard ability, it lowers the power of attacks on its partner by 25%. Meanwhile, that's another coaching into this King Gambit. It's now +2 attack and +2 defense. A Super Fang coming out, bringing King Gambit down to 50% of its max HP.
And there's the nasty plot from the Goldango. I do like the Super Fang, though. Get that big damage onto King Gambit, but Kowtow is going into Goldango, and that's going to be a one-hit knockout every time.
It is a one-hit knockout into Goldango. Goldango is down, and this King Gambit once again is in a very, very advantageous position.
But here comes the Blood Moon Ursaluna. Now it's a little different. He's got Mouse Hold next to it. He doesn't have Annihilate next to it. He might be able to do a couple things here, and the Terra's not going to help King Gambit this time because Earth Power, whether he Terras or doesn't, is going to be super effective into that King Gambit slot.
It's going to be super effective into the King Gambit by virtue of that Terra Fire that we saw in game number 1, Adrian. But what's also important to note is that Jonathan Sneasler has that Focus Sash item, and it's still got full HP, so the Sneasler can take 2 hits here unless Mousehole goes for someone like a Super Fang and the Hyper Voice here. But we're going to see a Protect from the King Gambit here as a Follow Me comes out on the Mousehole.
Now the question is, what did the Sneasler press? Dire Claw. Okay, Dire Claw. Here we go. 50-50. And it's a poison.
It's a poison from that Dire Claw here. It is not a paralysis and it is not sleep, but it is poison.
And Ursaluna going for the Hyper Voice, trying to get that extra damage onto the Sneasler while picking away. And that, wow, a critical hit coming in.
A huge critical hit there from the Hyper Voice, but it did break the Focus Sash on Sneasler. And now King Gambit, it could go for something like a Sucker Punch or a Kowtow Cleave into the Mousehold slot here, but it also remains to be seen if King Gambit will be faster than Ursaluna normally.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting interaction, but the good thing about this situation was they didn't take them on to Focus Sash, so the Unburden proc never activated.
That is true. The Unburden proc did not activate on this Sneasler by virtue of that Focus Sash item, and also if it were to get knocked off, it still wouldn't matter because I think a knockoff onto that Sneasler would knock it out.
Yeah, I would believe so as well. There's a possibility that maybe a vacuum they might pick up from here. Sneasler's not the very bulkiest of Pokemon here. We've got a Follow Me coming in from Mousehole.
It is going to be a Follow Me here. It's a Dire Claw into the Mousehole, which will take it down, but now the Friend Guard is gone for this turn. So where did this King Gambit go? But it's not going to matter.
Ursaluna's faster. Okay.
Ursaluna is faster than King Gambit, and King Gambit is down a huge threat off the field for Christopher.
Well, this is still a bad situation for Christopher because that Sneasler is still the fastest mon on the field, and we know about the Alolan Ninetales in the back, who's also faster.
That is true. Alolan Ninetales is faster, and it does have that Light Orb for its item. But what's also important to note here is the fact that it does not just have Moonblast and Blizzard. It has Freeze Dry. It's normally super effective into Blood Moon Ursaluna by it being a ground type. But if Ursaluna terastallizes into that water type like we saw in game 1, it's still super effective.
Yeah, it's going to be 4 times effective. It's going to be even worse. So it's going to be big damage, and that's going to be big trouble for the Ursaluna.
So now it remains to be seen what will Christopher potentially try to do here, because he could go for something like a Drain Punch into the Ninetales, but Ninetales does have the Snow giving a 50% boost to its physical defense.
I think the Vacuum Wave is going to probably be the play here, because if he doesn't take out the Sneasler before it gets to move, Dire Claw could be a big problem, and Close Combat could be a big problem into that Ursaluna slot. So he needs to try and get rid of that Sneasler quickly.
He definitely needs to find a way here, but we're going to see a Terastallization come out on the side of Christopher here, and he is going to fire his Terra Orb out at Annihilate. So Annihilate is taking that Rage and increasing itself and turning it into a pure Fire type for the remainder of this battle.
And that looks like a good play for Fire here. I think that's the right call. You can't Terra Water here in front of him. Oh, Close Combat is still, he didn't Vacuum Wave it, he lived!
He did live the Close Combat here, but it also remains to be seen, what did Ninetales go for? It went
for Freeze Dry.
It's a double up into the Ursaluna slot, and Ursaluna is down.
That was a smart play by Jonathan. He covered the Terra by pressing Freeze Dry into that slot, making sure that if it did Terra, it would be punished for it.
It would be punished for that, but in comes his Rage Fist, and it does enough to knock out the Sneasler here. So now it is Jonathan down to his final 2 Pokemon, and Christopher only has this Annihilate, but the snow has just stopped Adrian, and now Alolan Ninetales does not have that 50% boost to its physical defense.
Oh, but here we go. We got the Blood Moon on the other side, and we know about Earth Power already, so this is not looking good for Christopher here.
It's not looking good for Christopher right now, but but where there's Annihilate, there is a way.
Oh, definitely. Annihilate is one of those mons that exact safe play. He's trying to avoid either the freeze from Freeze Dry or the freeze from Blizzard. There's the Blizzard.
It's going to be a Blizzard here. It will be protected by Annihilate, but let's see what the Ursaluna went for here. It went Earth Power as well.
So the real question is going to become, does Drain Punch kill Ursaluna?
It will be very interesting to see what happens here with this Drain Punch, but I'm willing to surmise, we're going to get a Blizzard go first. Life Orb take damage. It will not be frozen, And it does just under 50% onto the Blood Moon Ursaluna here.
Oh.
But where will this Earth Power, how much will it do?
It's gonna be close. 6
Oh, it
HP.
lives on 6! It lives on 6 HP, but now it comes down to if he goes for Blizzard again, but the smart play would just be to go for like a Freeze Dry or a Moonblast here.
Yeah, you don't take any chances here. You play Vacuum Wave, that works too.
Or Vacuum Wave. Ursaluna Blood Moon with a Vacuum Wave finishes off Annihilate here, and Jonathan Martin takes down the defending Versus Games champion 2-0 in round 1.
Jonathan played that set fantastically. He put himself in a position to win both games. He knew exactly what Christopher wanted to do. He played around that, set himself up for victory.
He definitely set himself up for victory there. Getting the King Gambit with the coaching early in game 2, that was a really interesting development that Jonathan went for. He did not opt to go for the fake out and swords dance play like we saw in game number 1. He just went straight for the coaching and get King Gambit set up. I did like how Christopher adjusted and did not bring Incineroar, but ended up bringing Golden Go in game 2. But unfortunately, Golden Go couldn't do much of anything. It was nice to try to get that nasty plot off. It just didn't work out.
Right, he did get the nasty plot off, but unfortunately, even through Friend Guard at +2, you're not living Kowtow Cleave.
I would be very remiss to see Golden Go live a +2. Now, if it did terrestrialize, there may have been a chance, but with super effective Dark type, I don't foresee that.
That early, if you lose your Terra and it still dies, you're kind of on the back foot. As you saw at the end of the game, he did live the Earth Power on Terra, Fire, Annihilate, so that's a good calc to go forward, moving forward to have in the back of your head. Even though he did lose, he can take some solace in knowing there are some calcs that he has that he can maybe abuse later on in the tournament.
That is true, and it was also important to note that in this matchup, Christopher's Annihilate, it was not faster than that Alolan Ninetales, but it still was faster than the Blood Moon Ursaluna. That is a good piece of information, and also, Chris's Ursaluna was faster than King Gambit.
Yes, it was, and that almost brought Christopher back in this game. Getting that King Gambit down was big, but I think the one turn that I would have loved to see was try the Vacuum Wave into the Sneasler, see if it picks up, because you let your other Mon on that slot, you let Mousehold die there. If you had picked up there, you're in a bit of a different situation. You may have a chance to bring it back.
I definitely think you have a point there, because if the Vacuum Wave would have KO'd the Sneasler through the resist, suddenly King Gambit is on the field. You have Alolan Ninetales and the Ursaluna Blood Moon in the back, but it helps out because you get the board positioning back into your favor.
Correct, and now you're in a position where you know exactly what 4 Pokemon he has on the field. You know what he brought. You can kind of make an adjustment there, and as you saw, we were really close to a game 3 even still. So that one play, that Sneasler dies, you keep the Mousehold. Now the Mousehold's on the field, and now Ursaluna's taking even less damage from that Kowtow Cleave that it took the turn that it almost died.
You make a good point there, Adrian. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short break from round 1 here. We're going to be back with round 2, so don't go anywhere.